Hello, Mr. Balderdash here, and today is a little mini seminar on competition. I'm using a PowerPoint slide on how to compete by the Associate Institute. It says, learn to compete. This is the science of Sun Tzu's strategy, founded by the Science of Strategy Institute, used with permission. All these principles come from The Art of War. The Art of War was written by a military general named Sun Tzu, and for more about him, you can check out my Art of War Secrets Revealed introduction. But all these principles come from there. Competitive skills must be learned. The thing is, in order to achieve success in life, it comes from either two sources: productive success or competitive success. And I'll talk more about what those two differences are and what they're useful for during the course of this mini seminar. And this is the Competitive Strategy 101, teaching strategy and Sun Tzu science, the very basics. The thing is that these competitive principles work in any arena. What they do is they help us look at our challenges and our problems that we're facing and understand our situation with more insight, where we can find our hidden opportunities to improve and advance our position. These work in any area, like it says. We can find opportunity in any area, whether, Gary Gagliardi's written books that apply to finding real romance, parenting teens, building up businesses, building up positions in any arena, even in your personal life. It's actually frequently called life's Swiss Army knife. This framework fills in key gaps in your knowledge. Basically, just like the picture shows, you have a bunch of puzzle pieces around, but you're missing one. It helps you know what you don't know, in a sense. It helps you have more insight into the situation to find out the key information you need to know and what you already know. It helps you sort. It's a framework, and that's one of the key words to highlight. That's a framework. It's a series of principles, an organized series of principles teaching Sun Tzu's strategy that help us provide a framework for looking at our situation. How many expect to hear a lot of new ideas today? The thing is, strategy is not what you think. Strategy has been more often, which it's talked about in the next few slides, that's been confused with other ideas more and more recently. First of all, and one of the main things is that most people confuse strategy with planning. Quite literally, I've talked to a few people about strategy and run into some hurdles simply because they think basically what strategy is you come up with a plan and you power pack your plan with these principles that help you accomplish your mission and goals. And that's not what strategy is. They're two complementary opposite skill sets, each designed to solve problems in two different kinds of environments. Also, people think that strategy is about battling with others. The thing is that what good strategy is about avoiding battles with others. Sun Tzu himself said, a general that fights and wins 100 battles, it's useless. A good general is one who finds a way to win without fighting a single battle. And how do we avoid problems and battles? We cover more about. Also, strategy is not just another name for a good idea. People think that's, it's another name for a good idea or a decision and other these kinds of things. And really what strategy is it's a way for approaching our situations. It's a way for it's a way for going through the hurdles and our challenges to accomplish our goals, to improve our position over time. Now, there's a lot in that definition, but if it's not fitting within that definition, then it's not really strategy. The thing is, a strategy is about what moves work in competition. What moves and what things. If you look into one of the things about being a strategist is that you're able to look at situation in other arenas, like for example politics or terrorism and fighting terrorism, and you can see these different insights into it and actually apply those insights into your knowledge of the situation. What things will work and what things, of course, haven't worked. What moves do not work. It's a science that's based upon years and years of study. It's a strategy is how you analyze and advance your positions, and that's really what strategy is about. It's about analyzing, knowing how to look at your position, your unique position, because every one of you that's listening to this and watching this has a unique position in the world, and there's a unique way in which you can advance your position. You have unique opportunities, and being a good strategist is being able to see those opportunities. So those are that's a really highlighted thing to look at, is what strategy is. It's based on the laws of human nature. Productive planning works in controlled environments where you work with objects. Taking raw objects and putting them into useful resources, like baking a cake, taking the different ingredients and making a cake out of it. Strategy is based on human nature because it's often dealing with how to deal with a competitive environment where you got people with different plans competing and trying to push for their own progress. It's based on the laws of human nature because it's very human-oriented. The thing is that when we're challenged, like I said a lot of times already in this PowerPoint, is when we're challenged, we usually react the wrong way to our challenges. And the first way we do so is by running away. Running away does not solve your problems. It does not help you at all. It really is a way of losing. Running away is almost always a way of losing. There are times when you do need to evade the situation. The other way usually people handle their situations is to get into fights by aggressively approaching the challenge and beating others down. And that's not what strategy is about. That instinct is another way of losing more often than not. Another way people usually try to handle their situations is by reacting emotionally. We do want to be happy with what we're doing, but we can't be happy with what we're doing unless if we act and respond intelligently to our situation. More advanced responses are the result of learning. Through life, we learn what things work through our experience and through the experience of others, what things work in different areas and what things don't. The science of strategy itself was based upon observation, where Sun Tzu built this literal framework, this system for approaching situations based upon learning of, in the history of what things worked in war and what things didn't. You can take war as kind of like the special, you don't study physics, subatomic physics inside your living room. You study them in these really big laboratories, these extreme environments. And war is itself an extreme environment for other forms of competition, where it brings out these ideas more clearly and more concrete. We as strategists learn to see competitive situations from the perspective of positions. Quite literally, we learn to look at our position, our opponent's position, the opponents of our customers if you're in business, the positions of people around you. When you can understand people's positions, you can understand how to build your own position. Really, what we want to do is build positions that others want to join. You want to be agreeable. You want your position to be something that others like and want to join into. We advance positions best while avoiding collisions. Now, the other part of strategy is advancing your position, building it over time. And the thing is when we, get in collisions with other people's positions, like I said, competing plans, people bumping into each other, what happens is it destroys our position, it fragments our position, weakens it over time, and we constantly bump into other people saying, oh, well, this is what I'm trying to do, this is my opportunity. We're trying to find our own unique hidden opportunities, like in the earlier slide, to our unique position, not try to battle with opportunities that are obvious to see, because it obviously leads to contention. We're trying to find our own unique path rather than bump into others. It just doesn't work. But how do we know that the art of war, this strategy, works? Good question. Well, first of all, it built the world's longest lasting empire. The region of China used to really be just a bunch of warring city-states, over 500 of them to be in fact. And what happened was after the art of war, that situation changed. Over the next few hundred years, China became all one country, all one region. It's built the world's longest lasting empire, and that control has been maintained and built through understanding the system of strategy by governmental leaders. It revolutionized war. Napoleon himself and other, of course, military leaders, not just Napoleon, but have used principles of the art of war and followed it closely to win their military campaigns. It also transferred into business. It revolutionized business as it is today, and it's revolutionizing how people see the world today, their challenges, their problems, and the way they can progress. It's the basis of all Asian martial arts. If you closely study Sun Tzu's strategy and what it's about and how you look at your situation, and then apply it to how martial arts works and the science behind martial arts, you can really see a connection there. In fact, Gary Gagliardi has made a translation about the art of war and how it works with martial arts. And where on the left-hand pages you have what Sun Tzu says, on the right-hand pages you have those stanzas applied to Asian martial arts and what the principles are there. It's also the basis of the financial success of the Chinese in business. And also businesses in America and businesses all over the world. You can see that the financial success is based upon Sun Tzu's principles of winning without conflict, winning by solving problems and opportunities. It's studied all over the world in every form of competition. Like I said in a few slides before, it's about any competitive battleground, and it's becoming more and more over the world recognized. Sun Tzu's strategy is finding worldwide appeal. In fact, I looked at my channel just yesterday, and I found out that my channel's already been viewed by people in already over 25 countries. And I look at that, I'm like, that humbles me. It's like because I'm getting worldwide appeal, I got to be making stuff that's good, and hopefully I am. But science of strategy itself is being recognized more around the world, and we literally have institute trainers and people that officially teach this stuff to businesses, corporations, people, all these different places in the world. But how do we know it works? Because it survives. Just like the art of war itself is an example of survival. Literally all the books in China and literature and things of the ancient, I actually saw this video ironically yesterday on YouTube about Mao's revolution in China. And the thing is that all this stuff was really, to build a new nation, all this stuff was really destroyed except for 5 pieces of literature, one of those, The Art of War. And so this is really shows how the book itself survives. Not only that, but it's spread throughout the world, and not just spread in the war, in fighting wars, but also spread in building your position in other arenas. It's an information theory that makes sense out of chaos. That framework that we look at makes sense out of the chaos around us, because chaos really has an order to it that's not really known. And when we look at chaos in our situation, which is very chaotic, dynamic, changing, it's very complex, it's all those things, it's unfair and uncertain, we can make sense out of that chaos by having this framework in our heads. We can make sense by finding patterns and fundamental key factors in our situation. Competitive strategy is not fighting. Again, people try to approach their challenges by fighting and by taking things head on like that, which is almost always a way of losing. What good strategy does is try to find a way to win without fighting. Just like this person scaling the wall here, they're finding their own unique path, a way to win. These ways are usually often hidden detours. Sun Tzu said a detour is often your shortest route to success. They're hidden, and they usually take you to places that are never been explored before. While most places we'll find do not offer good rewards, it's about success in the long term, and we'll find out that there's definitely places that offer great rewards that no man's gone before. Fighting creates resistance. When you push people, others will push you back. And what you're doing is you're throwing a lot of effort into this fighting other people's resistance. That's not what Sun Tzu saw that strategy was about. Fighting is costly to everyone involved. The thing is that you're increasing cost and you're increasing risks. I've literally seen people on YouTube on comment streams really talk about how they think that fighting is the way to solve your problems, how fighting and bashing through other people is how you build your position. Well, not really build your position, but it's how you gain income. What fighting does is that it wastes resources. Sun Tzu said how you get resources is by established winning positions that make sense, that other people want to join in on, that people want to reward. That's how you gain income, not by fighting others, because that increases risks, because you don't know if an opportunity is going to pay off as it is. Add fighting, you're putting in more money to something that may not work. And what fighting does, we advance our positions while trying to avoid collisions. Well, what fighting does is it destroys positions. Many times in political battles especially, we find out that people spend their time fighting other people's positions, which in the end they both keep destroying each other's position, when instead they should be worrying about building their own positions. What good strategy does is it flows around resistance. We find opportunities in our challenges. Whenever we're facing challenges and problems, what we do is we flow around that resistance. We flow around by looking at our opportunities that our problems create. And we learn to find, because every strength, even the strength in our competitors, creates some kind of weakness in the environment. All strengths and all situations create something good and something bad. Something we can take advantage of. What Sun Tzu saw that wasn't victory that counts, it's making victory pay. And that's a very big part of Sun Tzu's strategy, which is another thing to highlight. Sun Tzu said that it's not about, people often try to say, it's like, if only I can get my boss's job, if only I can get married, if only this, if only that, if only. The thing is whenever we get new positions, they offer new sets of challenges, new sets of limitations, things that we ultimately have to, overcome. We can never stop progressing in life. And the thing is that what strategy is about making victory pay for itself. Strategic setbacks position you for a comeback. All the time in strategy, we find out problems that set us back or seem to set us back, especially when we're trying to approach things with a plan rather than just working by exploring the environment. We find out that we're constantly learning and relearning the environment, that it's taking us here, it's taking us there, and all in the end is we have is our knowledge. The thing is that building up a position over time, which is in part building up our knowledge of the situation, of the opportunities that we're exploring, it's building us up for a comeback. It's building us up. For example, you can go use strategy, Sun Tzu's strategy, into a political, becoming the president, or you can quite literally lose the presidential race. But because you spent your time building a position, even if you lose, you can have something that will not only take you someplace better during the years where the other presidents or the other guys in office, but then you can actually try again for presidential campaign, and you'll have a much better position in which to go in with. So in the end, when you build your position, you have something, and it sets you up for a comeback. The thing is strategy and planning, they work together. They each have their own limitations. If you're constantly exploring situations and winning new ground, you're not using that ground, and you're not getting any rewards from that ground. If you're constantly using the ground, you're going to reach a point of diminishing returns. It's like crop rotation. You have to rotate your crops, because if you keep using the same crops, it uses up, and this is agriculture, but you use up the ground, the nutrients from the ground, and you have to replant another crop. In a similar sense, planning reaches limited returns. When you keep doing something, it's going to work for only so long, because the changes will eventually change the nature of the ground, and you have to, plant a new crop. So you have to explore. You have to spend some time exploring and using strategy and expanding your ground. You have to spend some time, and they work with each other. They're not just they have their own limits, but they work with each other. Sun Tzu saw this as the nation and the army. The nation supplies the army supplies the nation. What productive planning is designing and organizing. We can bake a cake. We can bake a cake and design exactly what the cake is going to look like from the very beginning. Competitive strategy is about exploring and experimenting. It's about finding out the situation and exploring our situation, and experimenting what methods work and what don't in competition, in our specific situations especially. Planning works in internal, controlled environments. It's just a lot like the picture here. It's an island, and around us is a whole sea of opportunities, a whole sea of chaos and things that are out of control. And that's what strategy is all about, is working in there. Like it says in this slide, strategy works in external, chaotic environments. That's 99% of the world, and what we have is, less than 1% of the world. Planning works when people cooperate. When people join in on something and they share their plans and they share their information, you have people working, cooperating with each other. You can plan in those environments. But strategy works when people compete against each other. People have competing plans. Planning defines clear, predefined steps. Just like baking a cake, you know which materials you're going to get, you know what steps you're going to take, then you know what each step is going to do to the process. But what strategy does is it helps select appropriate responses during the events. The thing is, we'll never know the complete situation. We'll never have perfect, accurate, complete information. We have to make good decisions despite not knowing the full situation or completely understanding the situation. We have to select appropriate responses during changing, chaotic, uncertain events, the kind of environment I described earlier. Planning controls a small part of the environment. Just like this railway here, it's a very small part in comparison to the rest. Just like the island of control is small in comparison to the sea. We're controlling just that narrow part of the environment, but strategy adjusts to the environment as a whole. We're adapting to that whole sea of change. We're finding opportunities and recharting and recharting our courses to go where we're going, despite all these changes and complexity. Planning and strategy create the need for one another. Because of their limits, you need each other in order to succeed. You need to have productive skills, and what Sun Tzu said in The Art of War was basically that you have productive success because the nation provides for itself, but also provides more competitive weapons and tools for the army. And in turn, the army conquers new grounds and new lands that the nation can use. They can use those raw resources from the new lands and provide it for the nation and the army. It's just a continuous cycle. They create the need for one another and their limitations, but they also support and supply each other. Strategy discovers the need for solutions. Planning creates solutions to fulfill needs. Planning uses resources to create competitive tools. And, just like I said, those competitive tools are used to win ground for planning and production. Success requires both planning and strategy. But the thing is, strategy is so overlooked nowadays. That's a very unique opportunity to teach and learn, especially learn these principles. Internal planning cannot replace external strategy. Everything you do within a controlled environment just cannot control, just like vice versa. They just cannot replace each other. They need each other. They work with each other. When you make decisions, you have to understand which set of skills to use. Are you going to use competitive skills or productive skills? Am I solving a productive problem where things are in a controlled environment? Am I solving a problem with baking a cake that I'm using the wrong kind of batter, I'm doing it the wrong kind of way? Or am I solving a competitive problem where I'm trying to sell that cake and I'm finding out that cake, it really isn't useful because there's no value in the cake that others have. They don't like that kind of cake. I should have baked another cake. Is it a competitive problem or a productive problem I'm facing? You have to know which set of skills to use. What planning does is it breaks processes into finer and finer details. We take our problems and we take our situation, we break it down into finer and smaller steps. We make things simpler, simplification, by, you know, branching out, and as the picture shows. What strategy is about piecing situations together. We are quite literally building a puzzle. Just like building a puzzle, you have to take the different pieces and you assemble them together, and it takes some figuring out and inferring. And that's what strategy is a lot about, is building a picture of your situation, finding your unique opportunities. It's, you know, Sun Tzu has this thing called the progress cycle. First we listen. We build a picture of our situation, find our opportunities, then we aim by focusing on the best opportunity and exploring the dimensions of that opportunity. We're actually going in the opportunity and exploring it and finding out if it's valuable or not, and those kinds of things. Then we pursue the opportunity. You have to make change. You make change by rising to the situations that happen, the challenges and problems you face, by continuing and going. And of course, then you move with momentum. While success does not make momentum, momentum does create success. And you got to move, and you got to move with momentum. But then lastly, you got to claim. People confuse motion with progress. People think as long as you're moving, you're doing something in life. Finding gold out of a cave does not actually automatically mean anything. Getting a degree in high school or college does not automatically mean anything. It's what you do with that degree. It's what you do with the gold. And these are common examples that I use. It's what you do with that stuff that counts. You know, are you going to make it to a gold mine you plan on selling or owning, or do you just want to sell the gold? You know, what are you planning to do with your new position that you have? You have to claim it. You have to show that others. You have to show to others that deserves reward and attention. And so that's how we make progress. But we also have to understand our position. Just like before we fix a car, and I say this in another video I have, before you can fix a problem with your car, you have to understand the nature of that problem. Before we can advance our position, we have to understand the nature of our position. How does it open us up to unique opportunities? And so that's Sun Tzu's strategy. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope it made sense around the world around you. For more information about any of this stuff in the seminar, or whatever you would call this, you know, please don't forget to comment. Don't forget to go to scienceandstrategy.org. Request videos if you want to, explaining certain things. You know, I'm all open for that, pleasing the audience. Look at my other videos. My other videos definitely show a wealth of things already. I'm trying to build and improve my channel itself. But also, if you like what you've seen here, or if you like any of the videos, don't forget to like, comment, share, and support. Because quite literally, this channel, well, without support, it's not going to be anything in the future. And I have a vision where people can learn and appreciate strategy, and it can be something that can help you in your life make better decisions, make quicker decisions, and just really improve your life in general. My life has been benefited by these tools. I've understood the world around me, and I've always been fascinated with this ever since I first started learning it. I was like, if there's anything close to a magic bullet, this is it. That's what I've always thought, and to me it's still just as true as ever. Solve your problems, solve your challenges, find the opportunities in your challenge, the opportunities they represent to improve your position, improve yourself, invest in yourself by learning these things. And this is Mr. Balderdash signing out.